A mountain holds its breath. Deep inside a frozen ridge on an island closer to the North Pole than to Oslo, a door opens into absolute cold. No windows, no natural light, only steel, rock, and silence. What is inside that mountain could outlast every government on Earth. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault sits on the Norwegian island of Spitsbergen, roughly 1,300 kilometers from the North Pole. It holds more than 1.3 million seed samples from nearly every nation on the planet. And the single question that drove its construction was not how to grow food, it was how to save it if everything went wrong. The story of the vault begins not with optimism, but with fear. By the early 2000s, agricultural scientists had documented something alarming. The world's crop diversity was quietly disappearing. Farmers across generations had grown hundreds of varieties of wheat, maize, and rice. Many of those varieties existed nowhere except in regional seed banks scattered across dozens of countries. Some of those banks were in conflict zones. Some had already flooded. One had burned. No single disaster would end all of them. But no single event had to. The fear was cumulative. A war here, a budget cut there, a fungal outbreak, an electrical failure during a heatwave. Individually, each loss seemed manageable. Added together over decades, the genetic foundation of global agriculture was shrinking. Quietly, without headlines. In 2004, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization and the Nordic Genetic Resource Center began serious discussions about a global backup. The idea was straightforward. Build a facility so remote, so stable, and so politically neutral that seeds from every country could be stored there regardless of who was at war with whom. Norway offered Svalbard. The reasons were geological as much as political. The island sits on permafrost. The rock around the vault stays at roughly -3 degrees Celsius year-round without any mechanical cooling. The designers added refrigeration to lower temperatures further, to -18 degrees, but even if the power went out entirely, the permafrost would keep seeds frozen for decades, maybe centuries. The vault was carved into the sandstone of Platoberget Mountain. Construction began in 2006 and finished in 2008. The total cost of construction was reported at around $9 million, a number so small for what it does that it stops most people. $9 million for a backup of global civilization's food supply. The design is deliberately simple. A 129-meter tunnel bores straight into the mountain. It splits at the end into 3 separate chambers. Only one chamber is currently in use. The other 2 wait, empty, in case they are ever needed. Each chamber is roughly 27 meters long and 10 meters wide, about the size of a modest warehouse, sealed inside a mountain, sealed inside a climate that rarely sees above freezing even in summer. Seeds arrive in sealed foil packets, placed inside sealed boxes, stacked on metal shelves. Each country or institution that deposits seeds retains legal ownership. Norway provides the physical security. No nation can access another's deposits without permission. The vault holds seeds from rice varieties developed over 10,000 years of Asian agriculture. It holds drought-resistant maize strains from West Africa, ancient wheat relatives from the Middle East, potato varieties from the Andes that have no commercial market but carry genetic traits, disease resistance, cold tolerance, that breeders may desperately need in 50 years. Some deposited varieties no longer exist anywhere else on Earth. That is not a dramatic exaggeration. That is the documentation. The vault's director, Asmund Asdal, has spoken publicly about the logic of the place. Seeds can survive in frozen storage for extraordinary lengths of time under the right conditions. Some varieties, stored properly, remain viable for hundreds of years. The Svalbard environment, cold, dry, stable, dark, is as close to ideal as any location on the planet. But the vault has already faced its first serious test, and it came earlier than anyone expected. In 2008, the vault opened with international ceremony. Within a decade, the permafrost it was built to rely on had already begun changing. In 2017, the tunnel at the entrance flooded. Unusually warm temperatures, warmer than any recorded in Svalbard's modern weather history, caused meltwater to pour into the access tunnel. The seeds themselves were not reached. The flood stopped before the inner chambers, but it was a warning. The infrastructure that was supposed to last forever needed fixing within 9 years of opening. Norway responded by waterproofing the tunnel entrance, improving drainage systems, and rerouting potential meltwater paths away from the door. The repairs cost approximately $13 million, more than the original construction, and the underlying cause, rising Arctic temperatures, has not reversed. This is the tension at the center of the vault's story. It was built to outlast political instability, wars, and budget failures. Those threats remain real, but the permafrost it relied on as a passive, zero-cost safety mechanism is now part of an unstable system. The vault's operators are now planning for a future in which mechanical cooling alone must maintain safe temperatures, regardless of what the rock around it does. That requires ongoing power, ongoing maintenance, ongoing funding. The simple backup is becoming a managed facility. There has also been a single withdrawal. In 2015, the International Center for Agricultural Research in the Dry Areas, whose facilities in Aleppo, Syria, had been destroyed in the civil war, applied to withdraw seeds from Svalbard. The system worked exactly as designed. Seeds deposited years earlier were returned. The center began rebuilding its collection at new facilities in Lebanon and Morocco. One withdrawal, one destroyed institution, one war. The withdrawal was small. The principle it demonstrated was not. Today the vault holds contributions from more than 90 countries. Seeds from North Korea and South Korea sit in the same mountain. Seeds from Palestinian institutions and Israeli institutions are stored in the same chamber. The vault has no political alignment. It accepts deposits from any recognized institution with seeds to protect. That neutrality was not easy to establish. It required years of negotiation over legal frameworks, ownership rights, and access protocols. The Norwegian government holds the physical facility, but explicitly cannot open another country's boxes. The legal architecture mirrors arms control treaties in its complexity, though the contents here are for feeding people, not destroying them. The seed count grows every year. The vault receives new shipments regularly. As of the early 2020s, it holds more than 1.3 million distinct seed samples. The theoretical maximum capacity of all 3 chambers is 4.5 million samples. The world grows roughly 30,000 plant species used for food in some form. Commercial agriculture worldwide depends on fewer than 200. Industrial food systems depend heavily on fewer than 20. That gap between what exists and what is used is exactly why the vault matters. If a blight destroys the dominant strain of a staple crop, breeders need genetic alternatives. Those alternatives must exist somewhere, preserved and accessible. The history of agriculture includes multiple near collapses from exactly this kind of monoculture vulnerability. The Irish potato famine, the 1970s corn blight in the United States, which destroyed roughly 15% of the national harvest in a single season. Each time, recovery depended on finding resistant varieties, often in obscure collections, often barely preserved. The vault is an attempt to make sure that search, when it comes again, finds something. Not every problem it faces is geological or climatic. Funding remains a recurring concern. The vault operates on a combination of Norwegian government support and contributions from international donors, including the Crop Trust, a non-profit specifically established to provide long-term financing for seed conservation. The trust has an endowment model designed to generate returns independently of annual political budgets. Whether that model holds over truly long time horizons, 50 years, 100 years, is genuinely uncertain. The vault was built with a specific philosophy: put the seeds somewhere stable, keep them cold, make access legally clean, and let time do the rest. That philosophy assumed the physical environment would stay stable. It has not. The adaptation is ongoing. What is clearer now than it was in 2008 is that the vault is not a finished solution. It is an institution that must be maintained, funded, and defended technologically and politically for as long as human agriculture needs a backup. The mountain will keep the seeds, but someone has to keep the mountain. Whether it finishes or fails, it will leave a mark on how the next generation builds.